Hey everybody, Julian here from Ripehouse Advisory. In today's video, we're going to run you through 10 questions to be asking your agent when you're looking to purchase a property, whether that be in person or doing that on the phone. So the reason we run through these kind of scripts, I guess, is to make sure that as we go through this process, we're collecting as much information as we possibly can, not only about the property, but to help us formulate a strategy around presenting an offer moving forward. So gonna kick things off with property number one, pretty standard, but is this property still available? Keep in mind that some properties are listed almost as bait. Some of them that you'll see sold within 24 or 48 hours, they're literally just marketing campaigns for agents trying to spruik how good they are at their job and trying to connect with potential selling vendors moving forward, seeing how quickly they can move these properties on. So you want to see, is this property still available? That's number one. Number two, you want to ask, when did this property hit the market? This can be a good one in terms of just buying a bit of trust from the agent. You know, they might say that it's just came up yesterday. If you're looking online, you can see it's been up for a week or several weeks. Could be an indicator that, it's moving forward through the rest of the questions, that you can't really take some of their answers at face value. Number three is, do you know the age of the property? Gives you, again, a bit of insight whether the agent's really done their homework on this property, but also can help you in terms of formulate your decisions regarding when you're calculating your numbers in terms of ROI in this property. Is it a property that has some depreciation left available to it and maybe can factor it in terms of, what your rental return would be kind of pre and post tax, or if it's, maximize its depreciation. The third one is it rented or is it owner occupied? This one is an important one because it can formulate some of the way the direction goes for these next few questions. If it's owner occupied, can be kind of leading us to in terms of they may have different settlement periods that they're looking to go to. You can kind of also divert your questions, which we'll get to in a little minute. So if it's rented, you may just want to also kind of divert from there and asking, what is the rental appraisal on that property? Now, just a bit of a disclaimer with this one, from my experiences, selling agents aren't always the most accurate at knowing what the actual rent is for a property unless they've got a property management arm to that business and maybe already got an appraisal done on it. A lot of them can be way off, whether it's overs or unders. So do your homework on that as well. Next thing we do, so if it is tenanted, we want to ask them, what's the track record like of the tenant in place? Do they pay their rent on time, or have they been in arrears consistently? Next, we want to know is, how does the property present and do they look after the property? Because the last thing we want to do is we can take over a property, and if there's a couple months left, or if they're out of their lease, that's okay. If they're not keeping that in check, it's not too hard to move a client out. But we just want to find out if there's already a good tenant in place. It potentially can be an attractive buying point when we're going to purchase a property. And then, would you recommend they stay on, or would you recommend bringing on a new tenant moving forward? So we want to get that information so we can also factor this into our costs as well. Because if we're keeping that tenant, fantastic. We may look to increase their rent if they're off lease or they're under market. If they're out of lease, not a great tenant, we need to potentially factor in, we're going to potentially need to get some advertising costs by attracting a new tenant, and there could be a bit of a handover period in there. You may need to, you might want to do some works on that changeover as well. If it's owner occupied though, this is where we want to know, why is the vendor selling, and trying to find out their motivations, because they could have seller distress. There could be some real motivations for them to sell quickly. Particularly if they need access to cash quickly, it can kind of determine what your deposit amount may be, when you release that, etc. Is there a time frame for sale? Again, that's that urgency that they're being built. And then also, have you received or are you going to be presenting any offers to the vendor? Again, we want to see where you're at, particularly if you're in a multi-offer situation. It can, again, kind of determine how quickly you need to act or how slowly you can slow things down. Then we want to get to the condition of the property. So this one's a really big one, and you need to be specific here, because if you're just asking a pretty straight questions like, is there any maintenance issues in the property? Most agents are going to just say no, or say, oh, there's some minor stuff, but nothing huge. So first you want to ask if there's any structural or unusual elements on the property that require attention from a building and pest inspector or another trade professional that they are aware of. Wait for that to come through, and if there are, you want to kind of make sure that before you put your offer forward, you do get some quotes regarding to what it may cost to repair those items if they need to be addressed straight away. The next one is, does the house need any maintenance or work that you could be suggesting on in purchase? So maintenance is sometimes also preventative. So understanding there's immediate maintenance. That immediate maintenance can be meaning things like, smoke alarms or making sure that it's at rental standard, but it also can be preventative maintenance. If you're doing your building and pest inspection and you're noticing there's clogged up gutters all through that property, well, that can lead to, defective downpipes, defective resting gutters, which then can lead back to, leaking through the ceiling, structural issues. So we want to make sure you're fully aware of that. And the next part is, in terms of the street location, if there's any noise, complaints, neighbours, public housing, because the last thing we want to do is be buying a house where the whole street is a bunch of party maniacs, or they're doing drag racing up and down that street. So getting a bit of an insight what's coming through on that property as well. And then the final thing to kind of capture and close on your statement is, assuming you can move quickly, what price would get this purchase done today? Now, sometimes they'll be very vague, but again, you can drill down in the point. So if they're saying offers over 6 or offers over 6.5, you can get straight to the point. We'll say, if I put an offer at X, what do you think, would that get the offer done today in your opinion? Yes or no? Really push them. You can even just let them know, look, I'm not interested in wasting your time. I just want to make sure I give you a straight answer. You're probably getting lots of calls like this today about this property. So again, the more open and upfront you are with the agent, the more likely you are to get a true and honest response. So guys, that's just a short snippet of what goes through in the screening. There's obviously a lot more detailed into that. Otherwise, this would be quite a lengthy process, but I hope you get some takeaways out of that. If you have any thoughts, any other questions that you would add or you do add in your process, please leave a comment below. As usual, please make sure you're subscribed and like the button, and looking forward to speaking to you guys in the next one. Bye for now.